What is up, everybody? My name is Andrew, and Space Engineers recently released a new Warfare Evolved update, as well as a Decorations number 3 DLC, and I did a little showcase video a few days ago, and I got a lot of questions in the comments section about some of the new blocks and some of how they work and stuff like that. So today we're going to be going over those questions and answering them, finding out some new things about some new blocks. Let's get right into it. All right, starting right out, our first question is, do the new thrusters stack? Can you place the new thrusters such that they stack on top of each other without them damaging each other? Let's find out. So if I put them like this, we're gonna try and stack them as close as possible. Can we put them such that they stack like that? Now this would not work with the normal thrusters because they would damage each other if you try and put them like that. They would. This one right here would damage that one. So we'll throw them like that and we'll see what happens. Let's get in this, let's get in here, and let's hit the accelerator. Okay, I need to get a little closer so I can actually see. There we go, we're hitting the accelerator. Let's just let it sit for a second and see if it damages each other or if we're fine and they don't damage each other at all. And there we go, just a few seconds into holding this down, holding the spacebar down, we do actually have damage coming in. I see a lot of smoke right there. Let's hop out and use our, oh, we don't even have a thing. One second. There we go, now we'll have a welder, and let's use this. Yep, it is indeed damaging each other. So that one right there is damaging the ones below it, just like this one right here is damaging that one below it. Although this can actually withstand a lot longer. So the answer is no, you cannot stack these. I also wanted to check actually, because last time when we were doing the showcase, I said that those flat ones do about a third of the normal thrust. So let's check that. 30.3 kilonewtons, and people were saying in the comments that I could do this to find out exactly how much thrust they're outputting. So 30.3 kilonewtons is the flat one, while the normal one can do 90.8. So these do just a tiny bit more than 1/3, but like a negligible amount more than 1/3 of the atmospheric thrusters. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, now that we know you can't stack those thrusters, I want to find out how far their damage range goes compared to the original thrusters. So all of these thrusters are right up against the closest little block right here, and we're going to see how far down they go with the original ones as a comparison. So let's hop in this seat and we're going to go. Here we go, we are thrusting. I don't think this is actually going to affect the ones on the rotor, so we might have to do those ones separately, but at least these big ones in front of us should be damaging the blocks underneath them. So let's let it ride. Let's let these do their damage, and I'll come back once things have started to damage. I'm just holding down spacebar. All right, everybody, we have our results, so let's take a look. So starting with the large ones over here, our large grid small thrusters. Our original one has a damage clearance of 2 blocks, whereas the new one has a damage clearance of 1 block, so that's pretty cool. Our other one right here, the big one original, has a damage clearance of what looks like 4 blocks, which is interesting. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 blocks. It's interesting because everywhere I've looked says it's supposed to have a damage of 5, but it's currently on the full override and we're not getting any damage to that block right there. So it looks like that's actually a clearance of 4, whereas the flat one only has a clearance of 1 block damage here. So that's also pretty cool that the large version of the flat has the same damage clearance as the small version. Kind of interesting. Although it's notable to say that these do force a 1 block clearance. So yeah. But anyway, moving on to the small grid, small version, we have a 1 block clearance for both of these. So that's the same. And over here we have a 1 block clearance for the flat and another 4 block clearance for the 3-4 for the large. So yeah, those are the results there. Interesting stuff. It looks like these flat ones really all have a 1 block clearance. So go wild with them. You can use them in a lot of places. All right, our next question is an interesting one, and it has to do with wind turbines. They added this new wind turbine over here, which is twin blade, and it's also a little bit larger, requiring what is it, 5x5 blocks clearance instead of 3x3. And someone wanted to know in the comments, do you require the same clearance for these wind turbines, or do you need a larger clearance? Because if it requires the same clearance, you could potentially have a denser looking wind turbine farm because they look a lot closer. So that's a good question. I have them set up in their optimal configuration. These original wind turbines are set up optimally for the old version, and these ones are set up as if optimally for that version right there. So they're both set up in the same configuration. Let's see if they're pulling maximum output. So going in here, we'll go to wind. We'll go to our wind turbine. It looks like this is pulling 439 kilowatts, which is actually quite a bit. So that's pretty good. And then our twin blades are only pulling 141. So it looks like they require more clearance. If I look at our mega ones, this one's pulling 439. So when it has optimal clearance, it's pulling the same amount as the other one right there. So it does require more clearance. Just how much clearance, though, is the question. Let's try bringing them out block by block until we find out when they're optimal. Okay, so I pushed them all 1 block out. So instead of 8 blocks between them, it's now 9. Let's see if they have changed at all. Our twin blades are now pushing optimal. Okay, they're still not getting as much as these guys are getting. So I wonder if they need to be either higher or farther. Let's just try pushing them farther a bit. Okay, I pushed him a little farther out, but he's still not getting the exact amount that they are. So let's push him 1 higher. 407. Okay, we're getting closer. Let's go 1 higher. And let's see what you're getting here. 438, and I believe that's very close to what those other guys are getting. Let's go 1 higher though, just in case. See if we can get a little higher than 438. And we're getting 439. There we go. So it looks like that is the optimal clearance right there. It is 9 blocks in between them, and instead of being around 6 blocks up, it's got to be 11 blocks up. So 11 blocks up, 9 blocks between them is the optimal clearance for the new wind turbines. Very interesting. I wasn't expecting that. All right, everybody, the next test has to do with solar panels, and specifically if these solar panels are giving the same amount of output. They've added new solar panels here, which are the colorable ones. Let's see how they perform against the regular solar panels. So let's type in solar here. Our normal solar panel is giving us 143.7 kilowatts. Let's see what our colorable is giving us, 143.7 kilowatts. So it's giving us exactly the same as the normal. The slope one is giving us 71.86, so about half of that, which makes sense because it's only about half of a solar panel. So that's good to know. What about small grid? Small grid is giving us 35.95, whereas the colorable small grid is giving us the same, 35.93 actually. And then the half one over here is giving us 17.97, which is half of that. So it looks like the 2 solar panels, the new one and the old one, give us the same. And then these sloped ones, or these angled ones rather, give us about half. Now the next question is, can you double up solar panels? In the base game one, you can actually throw another solar panel on top just like this. It'll take up almost the same amount of space and give you double solar power because the sun goes through. Will it do the same for the normal or for the new solar panel? The answer is no, not really. It looks like you cannot place them this way. You cannot place them on top of each other. So that makes this a little interesting. However, there we go. If you do something like that, maybe you can get around it. So let's see. Yep, now I can place that solar panel. And so now what I want to know is, does this solar panel on the bottom still get sun? Let's check out our solar panels. Our colorable solar panels, you'll see the solar panels, the original ones are both getting full power there. Whereas the new ones are actually not. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like the colorable solar panel 2 that we've just placed is getting the full sun, but the one that's underneath it is not getting the full sun. So it's actually covering some of the sun. In fact, that's really interesting. The one that's underneath is getting exactly the same amount of solar power as the small grid. That's odd. Now I'm curious, if I do it for the angled one over here, will it also do the same thing? So for this one, it looks like it's working a little bit better. So looking at the one that's on top, we're getting the full amount of sun for the angled one, which is half of the normal. And then the one underneath, though, is still getting 53 kilowatts, which is not nearly anything close to the one on the small grid. So how come this one... That's so weird that those numbers are identical, the small grid versus the one on the bottom there. Interesting. So what I've learned here is you cannot place these solar panels on top of each other. You can with a little workaround like that. However, you're not going to get the same solar power like you would with the original ones. So that's interesting. Okay, and last but not least, I have a few tests I want to do involving the new medbay, which is perhaps my favorite block that they've added. This new medbay right here, which is truly awesome. I want to check if this thing is airtight, because I don't think the original one was. So let's find out. If I place blocks next to it like this, and then maybe make like a little container right here, maybe make it just a little bit bigger so that we have some space, and then put some blocks on top of it, would this be an airtight room? Okay, moment of truth. Let's close the door and see if this thing pressurizes. And it does. This medbay right here, the new medbay, is indeed pressurizable on all of the sides, which is amazing. I don't think the original one was. Let me real quick check just to verify that. Oh yeah, the original one was not even close to being pressurizable. So this is very cool that the new medbay is pressurizable. I also wanted to check. See, look at this. Place it down. Boom, pressurize. There we go. That's awesome. I love it. I also wanted to check what the connection points are. I would imagine there's a connection point on everything, on every side for this, for it to be pressurizable. But let's take a look at it. So first of all, the points where you can actually add stuff, where you can actually put in your oxygen and hydrogen, are on the back and on the side. So on the two back parts, I guess. You can see it better here. You've got one right there and one right there, compared to the original med bay, which was on the top and on the bottom, which is kind of awkward, if you ask me. So you have one on the bottom and one on the top. Now, the other thing about this original med bay is that those are the only two block connection points at all on this thing. So if you were to place this thing on the grid like that and then remove this block right here, that would no longer be attached to the grid. See, it's offline. It's no longer attached. However, it appears that with the new med bay, you have connection points everywhere. So if you have this right here and you remove the block under it, it should still be attached. Yep, it's still powered. And if you remove this block under it, right here, still powered, still powered. Let's see. Yep, it's still good because it's still connected. So I wanted to see where the connection points are. So you have one on that side for sure. Let's see. You've got one on the bottom right there. You've got one here. You've got one here, here. Even on the sides like this? Yeah, even on the sides. Wow. Okay, so all in all, it looks like the only place you don't have connection points are right here, up top right here, and down right here. Those are the only non-connection points. Everywhere else, you can place blocks on this guy. You can just place them and they're attached. That's fine. That's amazing. That is awesome. So this is very cool to see. I'm very glad to see that this med bay exists, and this was interesting tests, I think. Let's recap real quick before we end this video. The new thrusters basically always have a clearance of 1 block required. That's the amount of block damage they'll do on small grid or on large grid, small version or large version. They only do damage to 1 block, which is very cool to see. Moving on to the wind turbines. The new wind turbines do not have the same clearance as the old wind turbines. They actually require 9 blocks between them and 11 blocks up, instead of the original 8 blocks between them and 6 blocks up. The new solar panels have the same power output as the original solar panels. However, if you try to stack them, you'll find that the one on the bottom does not get the same solar power as the one on the top, as opposed to the originals where that was the case. That was kind of an exploit that a lot of people used. It was really awesome. I'm sad to see it go with these new colorable ones, but whatever. These ones are still in the game. And then these half ones right here do half the power as the large ones right there. Finally, the med bay is indeed airtight, which is the answer to all of our prayers in Space Engineers, and it's got lots of connection points all over it, which is amazing. That's going to be the end of this video, testing out the stuff that you guys commented on in the showcase video. If you guys have any more questions about things like this, I can test more if you want to see more stuff. Post those down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. If you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe down below. There's a Patreon and a Discord link in the description. Feel free to check those out, and I'll see you all in the next video.